Okay, guys, we are back on page 53 just to review. Okay. And let me get social studies pulled up. Alrighty, so we talked about the Articles of Confederation and how they were terrible, right? They didn't work. They were wimpy, weak. So this week we're talking about in 1787 in Philadelphia, delegates from the 13 states changed America. They wrote the Constitution. That's what we're talking about. The rules to guide our land. Okay. They made 3 branches of government, and today those rules still stand. So they finally got it right. It took them from May to September in the hot, sweaty Independence Hall, but they got it together. Okay. So we read about the Constitutional Convention. That's where they got together and met at Independence Hall to create a new government because the articles were terrible, right? And we talked about our 3 main dudes, the MVPs, known as the framers. Mr. James Madison, he organized it all. George Washington, who was a reluctant leader, he wanted to go home and retire. It's like, I'm tired, y'all. I just fought a war. Can't y'all find somebody else? And they said, no, we all of us pick you. And Mr. Benjamin Franklin, who Miss Berry said she looked up, and he was 81 years old. Yes, he was the grandpappy of the group, keeping everybody straight and in order, okay? When they got together, they came up with 3 main sections of the Constitution. The first part is called the preamble. It's kind of like the opening paragraph of our essay. It tells why they wrote it. And they said, these are our goals and our purposes. And this is the preamble. I'm going to pull up the Schoolhouse Rock song, and we're going to sing the preamble. I noticed this word, we talked about it this morning, posterity. That means the kids, the generations that come after us. So sing along with me. Let's sing a little preamble. Here we go. Maybe. So when it gets to the chorus, it's those words on 55.
Do you know about the USA? Do you know about the government? Can you tell me about the Constitution? Hey, learn about the USA. In 1787, I'm told our founding fathers did agree to write a list of principles for keeping people free. The USA was just starting out a whole brand new country.
That's right.
And so our people spelled it out, the things that we should be. And they put those principles down on paper and called it the Constitution. And it's been helping us run our country ever since then. The first part of the Constitution is called the preamble.
All right, here we go. You ready?
That's what those founding fathers set out to do. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
So your first try, don't worry, it's going to come back around. Don't worry, you can try it again.
And wrote a list of principles that's known the world around. The USA was just starting out a whole brand new country. And so our people spelled it out. They wanted a land of liberty. And the preamble goes like this. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty. To ourselves and our posterity do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America, for the United States of America.
All right, and those are the words in the very beginning of the Constitution. And we're going to break down those words with a story. I have a book on that, and I have a recording of that book. We'll break those words down tomorrow. Okay, so part 1 is the preamble. Part 2 is called the Articles. And if you remember, the Articles of Confederation is where they said what powers the government had and what powers the government didn't have. It just so happened that the Articles of Confederation didn't give the government enough power. It was very weak. But the Articles, I'm going to put over here, is how the government will be run. Okay? And that means who is going to do what? Under the Articles, we didn't have anybody in charge. There was nobody to solve problems. There was nobody to take care of business, so to speak. So within the Constitution, the articles that they set up there talk about who's going to be in charge of what. And they set up something called the federal system. Federal system. Federal literally just means the nation, the country, the United States of America. When you hear the word federal, it's talking about the whole big country. Okay. So they broke it down that the whole big country would have some things that they were supposed to be doing. But to make sure that the states didn't get their feelings hurt and get all upset and start fighting and bickering again, they gave the states some rights and responsibilities too. So it broke it down into 2 separate areas there with the federal and the state. And then even the local cities and towns had some rights and responsibilities. So they broke it down into levels. That way, the people who wanted the states to have power so that we didn't have a king or a queen felt like they had things that they were in charge of. But we also gave enough power to the whole country to be able to settle disputes and to take care of things like a whole country, one unit would do. Because before, we could not do that under the Articles of Confederation. So this first section here, we're going to write down federal, what's also known as the national government, which is the United States. That's where we are. That's our federal government. Our national government is the US of A. And you can kind of see what the United States is in charge of as a whole country. They establish and manage foreign policy. That means they deal with other countries, country to country. It would be weird if someone from Murfreesboro was making deals with France, right? So do you see, when we're dealing with other countries, that's the responsibility of the people in charge of the whole country, country to country. Okay, if Aaron Patterson was like, I'm gonna go make a deal with France that's going to affect our whole country, that would be weird. Okay, they can declare war. That's a whole country thing. We don't want Florida to get mad at Spain and start declaring war. That's weird. That's a whole country. Okay, they can make money. Remember, under the Articles, everyone had their own money. Okay, they said, we're gonna fix that. Everybody's, we make the money. That's the money. Okay, the whole country is going to use the dollar bill. Okay, not some New Jersey money and some Tennessee money and some Florida money and some Georgia money. We all have one money. Okay, so they fixed that. Okay, they can enforce those national laws, those things that are a part of the Constitution. Okay, we need an army to protect the country. They can tax the citizens within the country so that they can make our country better. They can borrow money from other countries. So they take care of the public health, the court systems, and whether or not a new territory gets to become a state, because right now there's only 13 of them, right? Okay, but in the US of A in 2023, how many states we got? 50. Do you see? So they had to say, are you guys, because there was a lot of people like, we want to be a state, and they're like, there's 5 people that we're gonna need some more people before we let you be a state. Okay, so that's coming in our future as we go forward. All right, so big group, national government. We work our way down to the state level. What's our state? So when we're talking about our state, we're talking about Tennessee. And you see the list gets a little smaller. Okay, they have some of the same things that they deal with. We have a state court system that deals with state stuff. You know, if Haven gets a speeding ticket on Interstate 24 because she's put her pedal to the metal, she's flying down 24, we're not going to take her to Washington, D.C. to make her pay for her ticket, are we? No, we're going to deal with that in the state level. Makes sense? Okay, so this is all the stuff that the things that need to be dealt with at the state level. And then down here, we have our local government, which is our city or our county, not country, county, no R in there. And if you think about it, the president does not want to have to deal with rules that are happening in Murfreesboro. Okay, when they put the new traffic light down here at Veterans and Barfield Crescent Road, Old Barfield Road, nobody had to call Joe Biden and say, is it okay if we use some of the taxes to put up a street light here in Murfreesboro? No, that's dealt with at the local level. Our city, of course, is Murfreesboro. So we have to deal with the city when we're in the Murfreesboro area. But our county is Rutherford County. You don't go to Murfreesboro City Schools, do you? No, you go to Rutherford County Schools. Rutherford County Schools, that school system, all the rules that happen here in our school system are dealt with at the county level. Makes sense? So the articles divided that, and then they also broke it into 3 branches that we'll learn about. Okay, so first part, preamble, cute song. The articles, how we gonna run this sucker? Okay, we're gonna break it down. The country's gonna deal with some stuff, the state's gonna deal with some stuff, and the locals are gonna deal with some stuff. Because can you imagine if the president and Congress had to run everything everywhere in the United States of America? Would they be able to go to court here in Murfreesboro to hear about Haven's speeding ticket? No, they ain't got time for that. So that's why they started thinking about that. They said, we can't be everywhere at once. We're going to have to set up a system where they deal with it locally. If they can't figure it out there, it goes up to the state. If it can't be figured out there, it will come all the way to us. But most of the time, speeding tickets can be dealt with locally, right? But if it's something major, like a constitutional law, maybe breaking one of your freedoms and rights, it might go all the way up to the federal court system. Okay. All righty. So we are going to fill out this part on Thursday. But before we do that, let's see what you know. Let's see if you know anything. So are you ready? Find a friend. Have your notes ready. Let's see if you know anything. Question number 1. Because the articles of Confederation were weak, our founding fathers met at the blank to create a new government. Did they meet at the park? Did they meet at the Constitutional Convention, the movie theater, or the school? Talk with each other. Where did they meet? All righty, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Where did they meet? Constitutional Convention. It's hard to say. That's a lot of words. But yeah, they didn't just meet at the park or the movie theater or at the school. They had what was called the Constitutional Convention. Okay. The framers or main writers of the Constitution were Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, or Percy Jackson, Annabelle Chase, Grover Underwood, or James Madison, George Washington, Ben Franklin. Oh, as much as I love Harry Potter and Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley, no. Who's Percy Jackson, Annabelle Chase, and Grover Underwood from? They're in the Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson and Lightning Thief, right? So, guys, our main writers of the Constitution were James Madison, George Washington, and Benjamin Franklin. The first part of the Constitution is called the blank. It's like an introduction that tells why the framers decided to write the Constitution. Is that a preview, a pre-write, or preamble? Talk with your friends. I hope you said preamble is what it is called. The second part of the Constitution is called the blank, and it tells how the government will work or operate. Is that known as the articles, the avocados, or the armadillos? The articles. I'm trying to have a little fun with y'all today, just helping you learn it. And we haven't learned about the third part yet, but the third part of the Constitution is called the amendments. And this is where changes can be made. The founding fathers realized that they weren't perfect, that over time things would change. If you think about it, the founding fathers were in horse and buggies. And here we are with airplanes and cars. They didn't have phones, any type of phone back then. And here we are with phones we can carry in our pocket, computers that we can carry in our pocket. They didn't know all of that was going to happen, but they were smart enough to realize that what they were writing needed some rules for how to change it. That Nola couldn't just walk in and be like, I don't like it anymore, get rid of it. There's a process that our Constitution has so that changes can be made to keep up with the times. That's why it's lasted so long. It's because they gave us that flexibility and the rules for how to change it so that it could adapt with the times. And that third part is called the amendments. The amendments, that means to make a change. So changes, amendments, or add-ons. No, it's actually known as the amendments. That would be the only question that we haven't covered yet. Up until that point, how did you feel about understanding our Constitution so far? Good. Well, it is only 1:51. If we pack up and clean up with the quickness, we should have lots of time for Miss Berry's class to come over and for us to read Perseus Jacksonus. All right, guys, good job.